Hi everyone, I'm Stephen W. Long. This is The Writing Life, and kind of a special show today, special to me anyway, because we get to talk about our local contest, Paper Gardens. And we've got a couple of experts with us today, Mike Santone and Deborah Weiner. We're going to talk about sort of how did we get here, where did this contest originate, and so on. And then Deborah's going to fill us in about what we can look for currently and how to enter and so on. So first, Mike, hello. Well,
hi.
And
glad to be back.
Yeah, you are back. So kind of, I guess to kick it off, how did Paper Gardens get started?
Paper Gardens got started in 1992.
Oh my gosh.
And by Rachel Bouchard. And it for years and years, it's always stretched over a school year.
Okay.
So it's always started at the beginning of the school year and then ended towards the end of the school year, which it still is.
Okay.
It crosses across to both. So in 1992, Rachel asked the poet laureate of Oregon, William Stafford, to be the judge.
Okay.
And he was the first judge. And Paper Gardens has never missed a year. This is its 25th year.
Okay.
It has supported by a couple by the name of Ken and Pat Myers.
Oh,
for
sure.
years and years and years. They carried it. And there's been some wonderful judges. There is now, and there has been Ursula Gwynn was a judge.
Yes.
Diane Wachowski. Lots and lots of really nice, and certainly lots of local poets and stuff. The Arts Alliance of Yamhill County was the organizing umbrella.
Okay.
And Rachel brought that to them, and then they and for most of the years, somebody on the board of Arts Alliance was actually doing the Paper Gardens.
Okay. So the administration, you mean, or the judging?
Yeah,
okay.
Like Linda,
Organization.
our own Linda Philippi,
Sure.
who back in 2001 was Linda Huff.
Okay.
But she was on the board, and it had been for a long time somebody who has been on the board.
Okay.
And it's only recently that the board has sort of withdrawn to being just a support and an avenue. Than actually a member of the board being an active thing. And every year it seems to be close to the last year.
Really?
And
actually,
what happens is, like when I did the coordination the first time in 2006. So to October. The last part of October of 2005, I was at a board meeting because I was involved with Arts Tour.
Okay.
And they said, nobody's doing the Paper Gardens. And I said, well, and I was sitting there going, well, that you're kidding. And they said,
That's
no,
unacceptable.
we don't have anybody. It's just,
Yeah.
we're going to have to let it go. I said, oh, okay, I can't. I'll do it.
Right.
And so I did it in 2006, and then found somebody for 2007, and then Pat Myers did it in 2008.
Okay.
And then a lady by the name of Taylor Crisbin, did it for a couple years.
Okay.
And then Kelly Greenwich
Sure.
did it for about 3 years. Then I came back and did it for 3 years, and then Deborah Weiner has taken over. So it's been and in fact, when Kelly stopped, she said, "I'm doing it 3 years. I'm done." And I wasn't on the board, or I hadn't. And Gail Watson, bless her heart, came to me and said, you know, Paper Gardens it came to my house. Paper Gardens is done. We don't have anybody to do it. I said, well, you know, and so it was the same thing over again. And so she talked me into
Is this a ploy?
No. But really, every year there is a need for volunteers to pick it up. It's a piece of work. It's a piece of work to get the judges, to hire a hall, to do all of the things that Deborah's doing. It's a piece of work. And it takes a team. It takes people to deliver flyers and to go to the schools and all of the things that have to happen to make a county-wide program last 25 years.
So, Mike, let me say this. I actually had a little correspondence with Deborah before, and I thought you were going to take this conversation in a different direction, and that is, well, you know, it was the AAYC board at first, and you know, it was a little rocky. Maybe we struggled a little bit, and I thought you were going to say, but now it's grown to the point that we've kind of got that handled. That's not what happened. So as you were talking, I was thinking there's really two parts to this. There's the administration, there's the organization, which maybe we need to firm that up a little bit or talk about its longevity. On the other hand, which is what I talked to Deborah about, the popularity of this. We have more participants, I think. It's very popular. People want to participate. So maybe it's beyond the scope of this conversation, but it sounds like we need to firm up and ensure the longevity of this thing.
Well, one of the things that all it takes is to go to one of those events when the children get up and read, and the youth get up and read, and the adults get up and read, and you see the families. It is absolutely the reason to do it, for that energy, because it comes back. It comes back in an incredible amount.
Okay, so now I have to ask Deborah. What was your familiarity with this, and is it what Mike said? What motivated you to get involved?
Well, I'm a lifelong educator,
Okay.
and I started out working in Yamhill County at the ESD with Mary Kearns, and she used to do a journal called Reflections for Children.
Oh, really? Okay.
And we collected work from all the schools across Yamhill County, and we were able to publish that. Well, the way of the ESD and things change, and you know, people retire, and that kind of dropped out of being. And then Paper Gardens became more popular with the schools as well as with you know, the adults in the county. So as a talent gifted coordinator and an administrator and elementary principal in Yamhill County, I had students participating in Paper Gardens.
Oh, okay.
And so when I retired, I told Mike, well, if you need a hand, I'd be willing to help you because I love writing festivals. I love encouraging writing.
Okay.
And so I helped him for a couple of years, and then we kind of switched roles.
Okay. Well, we'll continue this, but I just want to say, anybody watching this is a great opportunity to get involved. I
Absolutely.
suspect that there's room for that, and boy, is it worthwhile.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just terrific. Mike, you have been on both ends of it. And Deborah, have you submitted as well?
No,
Okay. Well, but Mike, I know you have.
I've had kids.
Yeah,
submit.
Yeah. Last year, you know, I'd been doing this for a long time, and then last year I basically stepped away, just handed out some flyers, didn't have any relationship with the judges.
Yeah.
And so I submitted some pieces
Okay.
and got selected and went up for the first time, not to introduce anybody, but to
yeah.
actually read. And it was great. It was, you know, and I actually had some trouble with the first reading because I just was nervous.
Sure.
But it was, you know, it made me feel like, okay, this is why, another reason why I'm doing this is how people feel when they are in front of just, actually there's well over 100 people, or maybe 200 people.
We had over 200 people
Yeah, well
at the
over 200
celebration
people.
last year.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it last year they almost filled that hall the
At the
community hall.
Chehalem Cultural Center.
Cultural
Okay.
Center, yeah. So I entered. This year I have a long relationship with and knowledge of one of the judges,
Okay.
Barbara
Sure.
Drake. In 1965, I was out of the Army and going to the University of Oregon, and I was in writing, taking writing, and my first poetry class was taught by Barbara Drake.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
And you know,
You were both kids.
yeah, she's only about 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years. But anyway, so, you know, and then, you know, since she's been here, and also she's from the same hometown as my wife, and
Okay.
knows my wife's family, and
Uh-huh.
is friends with. Anyway, so I have a relationship with her. So
Well, I have to say, this is anonymous.
yeah,
I mean, she wouldn't know you, so.
She wouldn't know me, but
Yeah.
you know, anyway. But last year was different, and so I entered,
Yeah.
and it was great. And you've entered,
I have,
and a number of years,
Yeah.
and stuff. So I know we've brought a couple of the books to.
Well, I'm going to ask you to do that, and then I'll read something. But now just because I've heard kind of some different stories. I was out of town last year, and I missed this. But you won more than one category, if I'm
Yes,
right.
you did.
Yeah, I won a short story, well, a flash fiction, really.
Okay.
And a couple poem and then a haiku. I do lots of write haiku. And the other poem is something I don't do this much of.
Okay.
But yeah, that was kind of, and it was from Judge Woody, Elizabeth Woody,
Oh, that's
Poet
right.
laureate from
Poet
Oregon.
Laureate of Oregon.
Well, and so before we do that, let me say, we've got Elizabeth Woody, we've got Ursula Le Guin, we've got William Stafford, and really Barbara, too.
Oh, Barbara and Lex Runciman.
Yes. And so,
Joe Wilkins.
Dr.
well,
Anna
all of them.
Kesey was last year's judge. Anna Kesey.
Anna Kesey,
Anna
I've
Kesey,
had
yeah.
her on the show.
Yes.
What talent, and I think it legitimizes this, but it's also a little intimidating. I think if you know who these people are, and you know, folks like us who just kind of get by in life, I don't know that I would deserve the title poet. And you just try, you know, you love poetry and you give it a try, and then to have it judged by that caliber, that kind of says something about our contest.
Well, and it's really, is every year, one of the first things the coordinator, the person that takes on the job,
Yeah.
does is try to find and ask poets and judges, pros. We've had one judge do it all.
Right.
That's really hard on a judge.
Right.
So 2 judges is really the best for both
Yeah.
the judges and the entries. But that's the first thing, is to try to get judges to commit to a time.
Right.
And when they can do it, and the poetry judge, because they're all of both judges are handling a lot of work.
Yeah.
They're taking, and they do it. That was the other thing that Rachel Burchard said, and has tried to maintain all the way through. We will pay the judges.
Ah.
And so, if there's one judge, we try to pay him $500 or $200, $500, whatever we can afford, up to what we can afford. Some judges give it back to us, but we don't ask them to do it for free.
Yeah.
We don't ask them to do
I
it.
know whenever I submit, I always put a candy bar in there. And I'm not trying to influence anything, but no, of course not. No, but I'm glad that again, I think just the offer.
Yeah, it's a very small honorarium
Sure.
Oh,
for
yes.
the greatness of their talent, but at least it does recognize. You
Well, I
know,
think
and
it's the
and it's a way
recognition.
to say thank you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I think what we really wanted, what we hope is that Paper Gardens is really a showcase for Yamhill County writers. And so by having,
Well, I think it is.
by having, you know, excellent judges, then you know that the work is going to be really excellent, because Yamhill County is such an amazing place, and there's so much creative talent here. And there's different ways that we see a lot of the visual arts and performing arts.
You bet.
But we really want this to be the showcase for literary arts, and we are so glad to be able to have it and to keep it going, and we want to keep it growing. One of the things that we were really fortunate, we had a grant from the Yamhill County Cultural Coalition, and then we were able to buy books and put them in all of the libraries. So now we have for several years Paper Guards books in all of the libraries across Yamhill County.
I was going to ask you.
And so that people can check them out and enjoy the poetry and their local writers and things like that. But more and more we would love to see. Last year 3rd Street Books sold our books.
Oh, great.
You know, because it's really the prize is being published. And we want the book to be able to reflect the quality of what this effort is all about.
When Mike talked about what it feels like to stand up there, I know in my case, and I think this is pretty universal, I think what you're looking for is validation. You know, you pour your heart and soul into this thing, and you want somebody other than your mom to say, hey, this is okay. Yeah, I can connect with this. It moved me, whatever the response is, but I think it's really validation.
Yeah. And when you really see that is if you see three generations come and go around a table, and the youngest one gets up and reads.
Oh boy!
And Grandpa is crying. I mean, it is terrific.
Yeah. And before we read, and I'm going to have you do that, but I wanted to talk about the books themselves. I don't know if this is every year, but certainly frequently, Marilyn Warwick's produces the book. Is that is it every year or nearly every year? Okay.
Yeah, there's really been 2 additional people who have made Paper Gardens what it is.
Okay.
Marilyn Warwick's in her absolutely
fabulous,
amazing bookmaking, and Gail Watson.
Yeah.
Both of those women have made Paper Gardens because of their donation of not only materials and time and talent to produce absolutely gorgeous books that people will be proud of. And so, you know, both of them really deserve a lot of credit.
I think it's interesting that that everyone is different. And what I mean by that is if you're in production, you know, if you crank out the same thing, you've got a design and you've got, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, all the encyclopedias look alike. But to go to the trouble, as you said, with the artwork and the design and the size, and they're really, each one is distinct.
Yeah. Well, in Marilyn's case, they're hand done.
Yeah.
They're hand bound. One year, we all got together and sewed, and
there were more hands, but they were hand done. Yeah.
Ours kind of fell apart, but it was so it's been a real effort.
Yeah, great. Well, I want to, Deborah, we're going to get back and talk about how to do this. But Mike, go ahead and
okay.
Now, and what year is this from? Is this last year?
This is from last year.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the poem. I'm old, right? And old people tend to sometimes write old. This is titled, When the Years Conspire. When the years conspire to make you old, the wrinkled, spotted skin and light of day reminds you it's hard to fend off the cold. All the while, your treasured memories begin to stray. You lament the loss, that youthful fire, when life was a long sunny beach, and you ran and thought you'd never tire. Those days when everything was within reach. Now the years have conspired to steady strides, your steady stride slowed, your back bent, your legs tired, as you walk down the dead-end road. And within the elusive part of yourself hidden by the world's excesses, you search your heart to find words you wish to express. Words true in what they say, and, and in what they mean. You struggle to bring to the light of day. If only there were more time to dream.
For sure. You know, as you're reading that, that was great. I was thinking, because I was able to interview both Barbara and Lisa Olin Harris, who are the judges this year. And because this, well, any art is subjective, but I asked Barbara, what are you looking for? You know, what makes something stand out? And one of the things she said was, when somebody can express an idea a new way, can you use words in a different way than we're used to hearing them? And I think you've done that.
Yeah. I almost never rhyme. And this is these are A B. You know,
Right.
these are rhymes.
Right. Yeah.
I almost never do that.
Yeah. So this I'm going to read one that I did early on. Actually, we just moved to the area, and I wanted to be involved in the community, and we've learned about paper gardens and so on. And this was really influenced by Ted Kooser, who is, I think he was the poet laureate of Nebraska. And he wrote a poem called Pocket Poem. And I read that, and I thought, well, that's a sentiment that I can relate to. So this is called When I Write to You. When I write to you, the words are disjointed, as if scattered by the wind of my longing. The text is from notes I take while we're apart. I saw did you know, it was beautiful here today. It was cold. When I write to you, the complimentary close is out of sequence. I put your name last so that it nestles into into my signature, spoon-like, content, waiting. So,
Wow.
And that year, in fact, there's another one. But so that year, I got lucky, and I won twice. And I remember I got the call that somebody said, "Oh, you know, you won this," and I was tickled, and I put the phone down. My son-in-law was in the house, and I said, "Boy, I won a contest. In fact, I won first and second place." And his comment was, "Didn't anybody else enter?" so thanks a lot.
Lots of people enter.
And what you were reading was also, the Paper Gardens over the years has gotten a lot of support from the Cultural Coalition
Yes.
of Yamhill County. That little newsletter was basically from a grant to further, we had a regular book,
Yeah.
but that was for a grant to disseminate in a wider population.
Okay.
And so we mailed them out to everybody and stuff. So Cultural Coalition's really been helpful to us.
Yeah, it's been great. So, Mike, I think in addition to what I just read from, there was a little chapbook as well.
Yes,
That-
there was one of the a handbound book.
Right. Good. Well, Deborah, what's up this year?
Well, I think one of the things that's fabulous is our support from the community. We continue to get wonderful support from the Cultural Coalition. We also are supported by McMinnville Kiwanis,
Oh, really? Okay.
McMinnville Noon Rotary. This year also Newburgh Noon Rotary
Okay.
and Newburgh Early Rotary.
Oh,
Early
boy.
morning, early bird.
Okay.
Newburgh Early Bird Rotary Foundation. And so it's really exciting to get that support from across. And last year, the Newburgh Community Foundation also gave us support.
Okay.
So we're excited because we feel like they believe that what we're doing is important.
Great to have a broader base.
To have that
Yeah.
broad base in the community, because writers are thinkers, and we need our writers in our community to be successful as a community, as a county, in all of the things we do, whether it's writing or business or education. We need people who can think, who can write, who have that willingness to express ideas. So being, I think, embraced by our larger community is really an important part of helping Paper Gardens to grow.
Okay, so you know what that makes? Two things. I want to ask you about how we solicit that, or you do, or whatever. But it makes me think about the argument that you don't have to have school-age children or children at all to benefit from supporting our school system. Because as a society, we do better with an educated populace.
Right.
And I think these organizations and businesses too,
Absolutely.
when they support, because really this is communication. And how
Exactly.
often on a job description does it say the ability to communicate? And so both with our prose and I think with the poetry, when you know to select just the right word, the precise word, that's going to help you. Maybe you're an engineer, but
Yes.
but at least you know that you can communicate with your colleagues. So that's a little bit of a pitch to then say, how do we reach out to the industry or the commercial community? Or,
Well, I think through just all the different ways, like we distribute information in all of our schools across the
Okay.
county. We do information in the fall, like Mike was saying, and then this past month we've been doing we call it our winter outreach. So again, we are sending information, bookmarks, entry forms to all of our schools,
Okay.
all of our libraries, our community centers, our bookstores. So different places where we think that people who might be interested in writing might gather. And then just people sharing that information across. And so also with our organizations, those are, lots of business people, civic leaders are represented there.
Okay.
So then they come as well. Last year we were really excited. We had in entries from over 550 people. 550 entries
Really?
into Paper Gardens. So yes, other people did enter, and 29 schools across the county. So we really want to hear from the diversity of the voices and the diversity of the ages.
Sure.
That's a really exciting thing too, like when you read, because you have children reading, you have teens reading, you have adults reading, and everybody's listening and engaged with the ideas, with
Right.
the thoughts, the words they chose, the way they express it, and there's this wonderfully supportive community to be able to keep it going. And the other thing that we've done in order to keep it going was we really wanted to recognize, especially for kids, the effort that it takes to write something that is meaningful to you and to polish it and to share it and submit it. So we created these idea
great.
books. They're like little mini journals.
Okay.
And Cindy Stinson-Channel, who is a local educator and local graphic artist, created this little a bird with the little seeds, because it's like a seed book. And
little metaphor there.
Yes, exactly, for us. And so we've been able to, because of our wonderful funders, we've been able to print them and to hand them out. So any student across Yamaha County who submits a piece of writing, they will receive a book, a little seed book in return, whether or not they're selected or they
that's
win.
great. Yeah.
So like right now that I'm hearing from different schools across the county, we have 25 students entering. So I know I'm going to be bringing 25 seed books to
Okay.
that school when I go and pick up the entries that they have already for me.
Great.
And March 1st is our entry date, so everybody's, scurrying around now, and it's really getting exciting.
So the reality of our world is it takes money to do some of this stuff. We've got some sponsors or these
Yes,
donors.
it's wonderful.
Also, for adults and I'm not sure youth, there is an entry fee.
There's an entry fee
Yeah.
for adults, so it's free up to seniors in high school,
Okay.
and then it's a $10 entry fee, and that will allow you to enter 2 poems or 1 piece of prose.
Okay.
And so if you want to enter prose and poems, then then it's $20, and then you can
Okay.
enter up to 3 pieces of work.
Okay.
Yes.
Just in case this would come up, if somebody had 2 pieces of prose, could they do that and just pay the extra, or is it?
Oh, sure, they could
okay.
do that. Yeah, it would just be It would just be
10 and
the
10.
10 and 10. And then if anyone has a concern, all of our information is all on the Arts Alliance website. You can download all the entry
Okay.
forms and all kinds of information. And we also have an email, and if anyone has trouble with that entry form, if they just email,
Okay.
then we can work out a way to reduce or to waive that form, that fee, if that's a problem. We don't
Okay,
want that to
but-
be in the way of anybody's
Right.
entering.
And that AAYC is great about that. Because this isn't a money-making enterprise. The idea is to
Now,
get
this
people
is
involved.
talent development and recognition.
Right.
I mean, that's what Rachel said, right? To
Yeah,
recognize
absolutely.
excellence
Yeah.
in
Recognize
local
excellence.
writers.
So this is a different thing, but the Terroir Creative Writing Festival is sort of, I think there's some kind of
Oh,
a
yes.
symbiosis or something here.
Sure.
And I know with that, there are scholarships and
Again,
I think
yes.
people wouldn't be denied access if they couldn't pay. So that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
And a few years ago, we started translating so that the application is in Spanish as well as in English.
Mike, thank you for that, because that reminds me, I think with the submissions, they can be submitted in a language other than English if there's an accompanying translation.
Right.
Is that right? Isn't that
Yes,
something?
because we don't necessarily have the capability of translating in the way that a writer would want. So as
Right.
long as they submit it to us, and we have had work submitted to us
Okay.
in 2 languages, and that's really exciting to have that in the book.
You bet.
So we'd love to get more of that this
Okay.
year.
Okay. Well, guys, we got to go because we're out of time, but thank you so much. This was great. And I just want to say, for anybody watching, don't mess around because we're coming up on the date, right?
Right, and if they have
Yeah.
any questions, just get on the website,
Yeah.
send us an email, and we'll do everything we can to help you to do it, because we just want to keep the garden growing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This is The Writing Life, and I'm Stephen W. Long. If you'd like to contact me at some point, my website is stephenwlong.com. Love to hear from you. Guest ideas, topic ideas. If there's something you don't like, send those to Mike. But we'll see you next time on The Writing Life. Thank you.
What do you think? We done?
I don't know. You guys want to do one just with yourself without me doing the
we're
markers?
done, if
No,
they got
no.
enough, they got enough.
They got enough? Probably. Okay, sounds good.
Let's go lunch.
Oh,
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
yeah, I could just bite too.